People like to have fun during the holidays. You know what's not fun? Returning an ugly sweater. Don't give anyone an ugly sweater this year. Give choice gift cards from giftcards.com instead, and they can pick their own sweater from some of their favorite brands. It's genius.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, and that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd. Here with me, I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just ready to talk about a classic pay-per-view. Seems like AEW's firing on all cylinders right now. We've got, I believe you have some stuff for Stardom Tag League. I'm in a great mood. I'm ready to, run these victory laps and tell people that the Smart Show, One Nation Radio, had all this months ahead. So, James, what's going on, man? And I have come actually prepared. On the stream, I have the cigar. And I'm going to just go ahead and put them on now. You guys can see the bag right here. When I pull the bag out, you know what it is.
This fucking guy.
Glasses time.
Oh, man. It's going to be one of those nights, huh?
It's going to be one of these nights. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Okay, so let's just start. Opening thoughts on Full Gear. Rich, you just said a little bit. Do you want to go a little bit more before we go, match by match?
What can you say? Lots of 4-star matches everywhere, some in the very high region. I think there are going to be some matches when Dave's ratings drop that are going to drive people up the wall. It's going to be great. I think this was it was a crowning moment for Hangman. That was awesome to see for him. Every time I think about the match and replay it in my mind, I want to give it a higher rating just because I love like how they did it, like with the just the escalating violence in it, and then like the part when the Bucks came out and they finally fucking trusted him, or they finally supported this guy or whatever, and then that's what really like is sticking to me about that match. Of course, everything else on the show was pretty good as well. I think the the opener was phenomenal. I just had a great time watching it.
Yeah, as I said to the Twitch stream before we started playing or recording, I thought this was one of the 3 best wrestling shows I've seen this year. The only other 2, I don't want to know if it's on this level because they're different. They're all great matches up and down, but I think All Out because of the great matches plus the surprise, the Ruby Riott, the Adam Cole, the Daniel Bryan, CM Punk's first match in like 7 years, and then the Stardom Budokan Hall show. I think those are the 3 best shows I've seen this year. And like they're in a, to be quite honest with you, like they're kind of like on a tier of their own, right? There have been some takeovers this year. There have been, night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, that have I think those are like on the second tier in knocking, but those three are immediately kind of mine. I'm sure you could probably throw that Cyber Agent Matt show that went like 20 hours. You could throw that you could throw that there because the top end would be up there, but it's a 9-hour show or whatever it was. I just think I thought this was a really great show. I think that Bell to Bell, it may have been better than All Out, but All Out was just
it was like a once in a lifetime.
You can't recreate that kind of thing of getting like two of the best wrestlers in the world just to show up, and one of the best women's wrestlers in America to show up. Like that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like that's really hard. So yeah, like I just we were talking, like Dave Meltzer, you mentioned he's going to go nuts with the stars. And I said, I think there's a case for, I would go for 4. I think there's a case for 6 matches to get 4 stars. I think there are 2 that are, or 3 actually, that could be like 4.5 or higher. The Kingston match, the main event, obviously, and the opener.
I actually have 6 over 4-star matches, and I've got the ones that you talked about, and I'm like debating like going 5 on the main event just because of like I keep thinking about the ending, and I haven't rewatched it or anything. But
I haven't rewatched it either. I've been I had to watch 5 fucking wrestling shows today.
Shout out to everybody in the comments.
Oh man,
Sam is saying Floyd will be on week 3 on the AEW Match Guy podcast. Shout out to Omega Goon. He gave me a shout out for the shades or styling. So if you guys are not on the Twitch stream, make sure you join us on Monday nights. My man Bruce, he said he loved Cody and Dustin as one of his favorite AEW matches, as well as Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. And Floyd says Darby and MJF was his favorite match. So I guess we should just go bottom to the top then?
Okay. Okay.
We'll make you guys hang around for, the main event review. So let's start with the beginning.
We're going to go front to back.
Front to back. So,
no, I was thinking of something a lot more crude, but
front, back, side to side.
Never mind. So
MJF and Darby Allin.
Yes. A Matt Classic. Just from, it was one of those matches to where they were wrestling, was like, and it was some World of Sport stuff thrown in there. There was some high technical stuff thrown in there. And then, the end is the end with the cheap finish, but that's the point of it. But they wrestled their asses off in there, and we talked about this with MJF. We talked about this with MJF for over a year now. It's like,
I feel like the pack needs to be talked about these. It needs to come. It feels like it's coming in, James. Like, what don't they get about MJF at this point?
I mean, I think people, because they're so used to wrestlers that do that kind of talking and then like wrestle as little as MJF and usually stink. That they think that, so they just assumed, like, based off of like that kind of phylum of character of person that does all of this but really rarely does any of this, bumping gums instead of throwing fisticuffs, that I think that they've taught themselves into thinking that dude can't wrestle. And I gotta tell you, like, almost every step of the way, except for like some short detours, like stuff like involving singles matches with Jericho, he has proven that he is a very good wrestler in the ring, in big matches, as a technical wrestler, as a 80s wrestler guy that doesn't get overindulgent on it. Like when he's wrestling Jungle Boy, when he's wrestling any of the other pillars, he's very damn good. When he's wrestling even at Arthur Ashe, when he was wrestling Pillman Jr., that match wasn't great, or that match wasn't not great because of him. He was game. It just, experience levels and the stakes. And it wasn't meant to be some Matt class. It was meant for him to get his heat back after he had lost to Jericho. So yeah,
I want to send a message to the MJF detractors. Like I once heard a story on Bomani Jones' podcast about Hakeem Olajuwon. I believe it was when I think Dennis Rodman.
Damn it!
He basically said that like someone had told Hakeem that Dennis Rodman said like all men think about other men or something.
And their deepest, darkest secrets, they're secret in the back of their mind, they think that, and go ahead.
And they think about, their endowment or whatever. So Hakeem Olajuwon looked at the reporter, and he basically said some words that I want y'all to say to yourselves before y'all go to sleep at night. Hakeem looked at him with the stern voice and was like, "He is wrong." So I want y'all to say, "We were wrong." Oh
God. Okay, yeah, I remember the Hakeem story. He said some people, sometimes people, because they believe things or they think things, they believe that of other people. And he pauses and then he goes, "He is wrong." so yes, yeah. Yes, like if you, I'm sorry. Like there's been too much evidence to the contrary that MJF is kind of what you're looking for out of a heel. Not saying he's the greatest heel or anything like that, or he's the future, or he's going to replace Ric Flair, nothing like that. He'll say that stuff, and that's to get heat to piss y'all off. But I think he is a great talker. I think that he is a budding character. He is protected well. He presents himself well. He has heaters left and right. He has clearly, he's being tracked to be a future AEW champion. He might be the predecessor or the successor to Adam Page, but I don't want to get too far on that. He had a Matt Classic. That was one of the best in ring.
The best match of his life.
That's one of the best. That's the best match I've ever seen him have.
Yeah. So I'm 4 3/4. I said, fuck it. Like, I thought these guys were incredible from the opening sequences. I love the finish because, of course, MJF isn't shit.
Right.
Like, of course, he, it actually beats the dude with the side headlock. I thought Darby is just, I talked about it on the preview show. Like, Darby has a collection of pay-per-view matches, and he does not miss. Like, just
what's his worst pay-per-view match? Would it be the cinematic match with Sting
and that
Team
was
Taz?
Like one of the shining parts of that show.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like his worst pay-per-view match is like some 3.5-ish type of thing.
Yeah, like this guy doesn't miss. Floyd said
he's never made a
5. He thought it was perfect.
What did Floyd say?
He said he thought it was 5. He thought it was perfect. MJF,
they was wrestling. They was look.
They were at the level.
That was. I wouldn't give it 5. I was at that 4.5, thinking about 4 3/4. But yeah, like that match. If you are a person that wants to see some good old fashioned 80s, or not even say 80s. If you want to see some good some good old fashioned technical wrestling or whatever else, the peak of the art of crafting weaving into a story, into entertaining, as opposed to when people dread the people that are technical wrestlers. Like that's the fun technical wrestling that when people say that someone's a great technical wrestler, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about like the Daniel Bryan stuff. They're not talking about like, I don't know, when people think of Dean Malenko. So
yeah, there were like sick reversals. There was like a thing, like it was like a power bomb backbreaker off a Code Red reversal.
Yeah, so
like, it was fucking nuts.
So
man. Like,
so who I was thinking of, he basically stopped the momentum of the Code Red and basically Alabama slammed into a backbreaking power bomb. I can't remember. Okay, I don't know who originated that move. The only time I've ever seen that move done is like in All Japan Women's. I think it was Devil Masami. Mm-hmm. So, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure someone's going to be like, no, it's this other one. But, like, they pulled that one out. And I'm like, what? Why would you even think of doing this, MJF? And it was awesome. And obviously, it was also part of him working over his midsection and back throughout the match. And when, Darby was also messed up after he crashed and burned on the apron trying to give a coffin drop. Like, match is solid, just flat out solid, up and down, and everyone knows that Darby is on the sneak a great technical wrestler and storyteller. But people need to catch up to MJF is also kind of on that too when he wants to be.
Look, I don't want to hear nothing about no Miz. I don't want to hear nothing about
Miz. Ain't never wrestled like this a day in his life.
Like, Miz is completely afraid of physicality in comparison to MJF. this isn't a case of someone being held back by the World Wrestling Federation. And I'm telling everyone now, and I don't mean to disparage the Miz because what he's done for his career, 15 years.
Miz overachiever.
Yeah, he outkicked his coverage, right? Went way past his ability.
How ladies in the game, the kind of physique he has compared to what Vince wants. Like the kind of shit he had to put up with to even stay around, to be here, from getting fucked with by JBL and shit like that. Like, he is a complete overachiever in life and in wrestling. So, you know, when we say this stuff about Miz, like, it ain't from no place of hating. Like, we both like Miz, but I've never really heard or entertained the Miz comparison stuff, whatever else, because it's like, Miz isn't that kind of wrestler, ain't that level of wrestler technically. He's just not. He's never been.
Bruce says
Miz can put a story together for sure, though.
Is Darby getting enough credit for that match? I don't know if he necessarily is. I think MJF was the standout performer in this match, personally.
So I can see why Darby wouldn't get that credit, but obviously it takes two to tango. And we mentioned with his track list of hits, if you will, like, he's gone platinum plenty of times. Yeah. So with Darby, I think it's kind of because he's out there almost every other week doing something death-defying, telling a great story, fighting from underneath, getting the crowd behind him. Doing great technical wrestling on a consistent basis out in the ring. People know that with Darby. People know that, like, all that stuff that he's wearing in his gimmick and all that kind of stuff, or his lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, that enhances what he does. So where you don't even think about him as a skilled, great technical wrestler. That also does all these stunts or whatever else. Like, people don't even think, they just think like he's just great. So yeah, he's great as well. So maybe he doesn't get enough credit for that because he does a lot of things well. But this one with MJF was kind of like, people will see like the 4 1/4 stuff with Jungle Boy or with Guevara and like act as if that's a fluke, as if like that's not like one of his last 8 matches in the fucking company, right? But also he just doesn't wrestle that much. People kind of take it for a joke, and like he showed you again, and he showed you the biggest way he's ever done yet to date.
And I'll say it right now, I think he's being protected. Like, they basically are limiting him so you don't burn out on him until it's time for him to, really elevate. Like, once you see his true elevation, like, you'll see a lot more MJF matches.
Maybe. I think it's all intentional. I don't think he wants to wrestle that much. And I don't mean in a bad way. I think it's part of his presentation.
Gotcha. But yeah, we can move on to Lucha Bros and FTR. I thought this was a pretty good match until the finish. I thought it was a great match, actually. Like, it was going fucking nuts. Like, for most of it, there was one spot where I thought they should have just did the finish. It was when he did the jump onto one of the FTR's ass, and then he got caught with the pile driver. Phoenix jumps off the dude and gives, I think it's Dax, the crossbody, and then Cash gets dropped with the pile driver. I think they should have just did it there, but I think this is pure AAA shenanigans here because they're doing another match.
Yeah, I thought this was headed towards 4 1/4, and then they did whatever they did, so I'll probably still give it 4. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and like, this kicked the hell out of that first match they had, right? Like, so interested to see what they do in AAA on December 12th, I think.
I think it's 4th, I think.
December 4th. Oh, Ho's birthday. So, yeah, like, I want to see more. Like, minus that finish, like, that's the kind of like effort in stuff I want to see out of FTR. I'm gonna say F4W. So yeah, very good match. One of their better matches in the company.
Yeah, I love the Lucha Brothers entrance. They seem to be adding these entrances every show that hype you up. I think Ruckus needs to go back to the original song because they put a new drum track on it, and it was like live drums rather than trap drums. Like, no. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it now. No.
Yeah, like, I don't know how people haven't learned this lesson. Like, it's been a bad like mesh of that kind of stuff for like 13, 14 years.
Yeah. So go back to the regular so I can crank, the correct way.
Yeah.
So, but I gave that one 4.25. So up next we got Bryan Danielson versus Miro in the tournament final, the AEW G1. So this is also very awesome. Bryan Danielson and Miro wrestled a match that felt reminiscent of a lot of Bryan's big man, little man matches, but with I don't think it got to the super high level. I went 4.25 on this one as well. But they kicked the shit out of each other. I'll say that.
Yeah, they did. This is a match that I think could be in contention for 4. I would not have given it 4, but I think it would be in contention. I have to rewatch it. But coming off of the first 2 matches, I was kind of just like, I could clearly see it's very good, but it didn't grab me the way the first 2 matches did. But it was still a very good match. I still no less than 3 and 3. I've watched so much wrestling. I'm toast, bro. I'm just toast.
Bryan Danielson gets the victory. I think he gave him the LaBelle lock at the end, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. I was surprised because I thought he was going to transition. No, did he transition to Tequila Sunrise or no?
I think he tried, but he didn't get it.
Okay, yeah.
So we both called a Danielson win, and the reason for that was because, for either man, it was the bigger match for the main event, especially, Hangman at this point. I thought Hangman versus Miro would be a step down compared to everything else that would surround him. I think this is bigger than the babyface heel dynamic, and we'll get to Hangman later, but I think Bryan Danielson is the best challenger for a new champion that you want to ensure is going to have a great performance and be in a big match. Yeah.
And he doesn't need to be, given that he's wrestled every single week, he doesn't need to be undefeated forever.
He could have lost this match, but I just picked Danielson thinking it was the bigger thing.
It is. Because no knock to Miro. Miro is the best mid-carder imaginable right now, but he still clearly feels like a mid-card guy. A great one, a fantastic one, a phenomenal one. More exemplary words for that. But right now, he's just not a top of the card guy right now in AEW, given who's on the roster right now, even with Moxley out. So. You set up your champion for success and or for more success than otherwise, and I think this is a good idea for Hangman and Danielson.
I think if this was WWE, he definitely would have been wrestling Miro next, and that's not to say that wrestling Miro would have necessarily been wrong, but it would have just been depending on who it is.
It felt like a step down.
Right. It depends on who it is. They wouldn't give Roman Reigns some whack opponent first off, but a champion they don't really believe in, they would give him Miro. And then they would give him I don't know someone else, but they wouldn't give them think about who they started giving Kofi Kingston after he won the belt. So, besides that, up next we had the Super Click and Jurassic Express and Christian. It's a wild brawl all around the ringside. Tons of false finishes. These guys were dressed in pink. Talking about the Super Click. The shit looked dope, the shoes they had and all that. But yeah, I thought this was another good match here. Went on a little bit longer than I think it needed to. However, it was the crowd stayed into it. Lots of chants, lots of crazy shit Luchasaurus doing that shooting star press into that pile. We got the BTE trigger with the tax on it. Jungle Boy. I thought Christian was going to turn on Jungle Boy for a second, but he didn't. Jungle Boy doing a bunch of shit, coming to the ring in jeans, trying to look like a tough guy here. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, this was like a big win for Jungle Boy getting the pin on Matt Jackson. The end was crazy with the concerto and basically sending that man to meet the Lord.
He'll be fine. Like, he'll just wrestle like on Wednesday, just like how Adam Cole did. Yeah. This match was very good, but like, I don't know what's going on with Adam Cole matches of late or like of this year. Where it's like any match that goes past like 15 minutes feels like it goes 40 minutes. And like, I don't know how or why I felt like this match was 40 minutes long. And then you told me it was 22 minutes. And then like, I just literally looked on Cage Match to see for my fucking self because I didn't know if I should believe you when you told me that the other day. And like, I can't believe this match was 20 minutes. It did not feel like 20 minutes. It felt way longer and not necessarily a good way. It was like it felt like they went past the peak, and that's the best way I can explain it. They went past their peak and they kept going well past the peak. Probably, I mean, given that it was 20 minutes instead of 40 minutes, I'll say it went 5 minutes past the peak, at least. So, It was weird. Like, it was just weird. Like, match was well thought out and crafted well and all that kind of stuff. It just felt like it got to a level and it stayed there and it never got. Actually, it came down. So a little bit, not like, like some stinker or anything like that, but it was weird, for a Young Bucks match to do that. And like, for a Super Click match be like that, because normally, I feel like I have to look, but like this, in my opinion, the way it felt, like I felt like worse watching this than any other Super Click match I've seen in AEW. I normally like, oh, that's a great match. They just killed it or whatever else. Like they just completely just destroyed Dark Order or Dante Martin or wherever else. But I don't know what happened here, but still a very good match. Just disappointing given the stakes. I thought that like they were going to go out there and rip it up, and they still ripped it up, but like it didn't get out of a gear to me, and like I don't know if I'm the one that felt that way, but that's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah, I went 4.25 on that. I thought we were trending higher, and I knocked them down a little bit. Bruce said, "Who makes a call on the length of the match? Would that be something Khan and the 6 wrestlers work out, or would Khan just say fill 22 minutes?" Don't know.
It kind of depends on the situation. I think the standard issue with like New Japan and AEW is they more or less tell the wrestlers, I want you to go over with X move and do it in X amount of time.
Right.
And that's kind of the gist of it. And then obviously you go over or under based off of, how you're feeling out there, the clock, your internal clock and all that kind of stuff. And then everybody else has to adjust to you because you have a 4-hour time frame or time constraints. But I think, Moxley, when he talked about his, the G1 match in, the Corkin Hall main event against, Ishii, like they told him like, you're like 15 to 22 minutes.
Speaking of that, Tomohiro Ishii, was announced. Coming to Dynamite this week to team with fellow Chaos member Orange Cassidy. So this is not the first goofball that Tomohiro Ishii has ever teamed with.
Not at all.
As a regular tag team partner of Toru Yano, I'm sure he knows what to expect. They're taking on the Butcher and the Blade. I get to see Ishii and Big Butch in the ring at the same time. Is Tony doing something special for me?
I guess so, maybe. Some would say, some Naito fans would say, in particular, would say that like between in Chaos for Ishii, goofball tag team partners between Yano or Will Ospreay or Okada, he's used to wrestling with goofballs. Some Naito fans would say. I just think they need to let it go over what happened in Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Wow.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. But very excited to see Tomohiro Ishii come. I think he's going to get a awesome reaction.
Yes, he is.
He's over in this country, been over in this country a lot of times. And those of you guys who haven't seen Ishii yet, get ready for a treat. I think him and Big Bush is going to be awesome. And I think he's going to end up wrestling Danielson at some point. I mean, this isn't it.
I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah. So, but yeah, moving on to Cody and Pac versus what I have them written down as Black Drade.
Black Drade. Okay.
So, I think the crowd kind of stared at this match for a little bit.
Well,
I think Cody has done it again, man. Something happens on the show. It don't quite like the show's going fucking great, and then like Cody comes out and something happens, like his match, like something I don't know. Out of him being dead on the outside of the ring. I think they were trying to do a mirror story, like they were trying to show they
coexist?
Yeah,
that's what they were telling
on both sides. And
imagine 2021, the feeling the need to do a can they coexist like match on pay-per-view. Like, some of us watch more than just one like wrestling promotion. Like, if you're a WWE fan and you watch this shit, you got to be sick to fucking death. I stopped watching them. I watched AEW tonight to get away from that, and now it's being brought to me. That's not necessarily Cody and whoever else put this match together fault, but at the time and place, this was not the time and place for that match. It just wasn't. And like, I'm afraid that like this just means that they're gonna have to do it again, brother. And I gotta say, like, I think that we get the point, and it's time to move Malachi like on the other side of the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, where Brandy was getting taken care of, away from Cody Rhodes, because like it's diminishing returns at this point for Malachi. And like, gotta say, like, him and Andrade as heels after they fucking teleported together the past couple weeks, all of a sudden now they're stealing tags from each other and they're arguing. It's like, oh, what the fuck? So like, I would like all four of them to disperse. Like, this would be done.
We call to play. Go out there, break up.
Like the beginning of Captain Planet, like all the rings like disperse around the different continents on the world, like disperse. All four of y'all get away from each other.
Yeah, my theory on this was
I was gonna say Dragon Balls, and I was like, now I have to explain what Dragon Balls are to Rich, and we ain't got time for that. So just skip past that. Just skip past that.
I think with Cody, like, I think they're trying to kind of camouflage his reaction, putting him, in this situation with more people involved in it. They did the weird thing where basically a couple weeks ago he was no-selling the Black Mass, and then this time it takes him down for like 10 minutes, and it didn't. Like, Pac got the definitive win over Andrade in this match, and I think they drove that. They let you know that happened, but some just I think people were confused. They don't know how to react to him. And I mean Cody. So I only went 3.25 on this. So
I didn't even give it a rating. Not to say it was like some god awful match, but I think it was an easy second worst match of the night.
So up next we had Britt Baker and Ty Conti. They were coming in the aftermath of the Cody one, and the crowd did not wake up for them, it felt like, unless I wasn't hearing things correctly, because I've heard a couple people with different reviews loved this match, thought it was very well wrestled. I thought it was okay. They tried very hard.
I think that it was laid out to have a great match, and then the execution was not there to have said great match.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff was going like pretty slow in the match, I think. I love Ty Conti's kicks. I love her athleticism. Apparently she had been working with Sammy Guevara on that moonsault, so that's why that looked as good as it did. So, but yeah, Britt rolls on. I'm going to get to it later when I'm talking about Kenny's title reign, but Britt's in that, she's in that part where it's hard to think someone's going to beat her for the belt because there's somebody down the road waiting for them. Mm-hmm. And every other title defense, unless they like strike some gold in the meantime, I don't see where it's going to come from, because almost every other woman's like wrapped up in the TBS tournament. And I figure Rosa like will lose her way out of that tournament or something. With maybe even Britt will cost her, so she won't win, and then that'll pop their shit off. But yeah, I thought they tried to get there. I don't think it quite got there. I gave them the gentlewoman's 3.
Yeah, this wasn't a 3-star match. This is like 2 and 3, 2.5. Yeah, you have to remind me, refresh me. Like, in your opinion, what is Britt's best defense so far?
Statlander.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
I think that they haven't built a solid division around her, so it almost feels like even if the match had, went off better in execution, right? Like, I kind of feel like it's one of those things where until the Thunder Rosa or it's Jay Cargill or somebody that we think that they're going to they're clearly going to make, a big star. It almost feels like inevitability when she just comes out. Like, she's going to come out and she's going to be more over than the babyface she's wrestling. And then she's going to fucking cheat and win. And then, like, we're going to be like, you ain't got to do that. We like you. There's no, unless barring smearing shit in the ring, I don't think we're going to ever, like, boo you. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what she'd have to do. Obviously there's things she could obviously do to get booed, right? But that would that also involve like a morals clause that could be means for termination. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? So like she's in a really tough spot.
I think she has to outperform the apathy of the non-title change. I think that's kind of like what's missing right now. Like, a couple of the last few matches, like, just haven't been, like, aside from the Statlander match, I'll say, like, the Ruby Soho match was just kind of middling to me. This was much of the same. But these are the growing pains. So it's like, until Thunder Rosa is back in there, they gotta get your challenger of the month, your Joe Louis bum of the month in there with her. So, but besides that, what do we have next? CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. Woo!
So, like, as you mentioned, from about that Cody match on, you can say, like, once the crowd, like, started getting quieter and quieter towards the end of the Young Bucks or Super Click match to the Cody match to the women's title match, it felt like the crowd was kind of just like, didn't know what to think. And then Eddie Kingston came out and that quickly changed. That brought the crowd right back up. CM Punk brought the crowd right back up even further, and like they were ready for this one. This match is great. This
was a physical war. Eddie Kingston drops this man with the Hurricane before the bell rings, and it's like the perfect thing to let people know that, hey, it's time to wake up or go to sleep. Like I thought that was gonna be it. Like, I thought it was like, hold on, he knocked him out. That's what they did.
They would have done that in WWE, and like a lot of people would either been like, that was awesome, or that was stupid. I wanted the match, and I've probably been on the side of like, well, if this was a 3-hour show instead of a 4-hour show, I'd have been like, makes sense. Clear up the car, get you some space for the matches, but like, nah. Like, if anything, some of these matches got too much time. So yeah, like
So these guys only went 11 minutes. So, and this was this felt like perfectly like timed. And
I mean, do you want Eddie? Look, no shade. Do you want Eddie Kingston and CM Punk at this point in the game to be going like 20 minutes? Because I don't think that's a good idea. I thought, think about it in retrospect, like, of course. And also how quickly heated it was. Like, it wasn't going to go some super long. Like, it should go short or shorter. And they, and they had their version of a sprint. It was very, very damn good. Great.
One of the better brawls you'll see of the year. I gave him the 4.5.
Same.
I loved it. I thought it was just like, I thought it was another thing to make people love Eddie Kingston, because like, he's got something special going right now, and one day there's gonna, like, he's gonna win something, and people are gonna go ape shit.
Yeah.
Punk gives him the respect, but Eddie walks out and basically says, "Fuck you anyway." I loved it.
It's not over.
Yeah, like and if it's not over, it's gonna linger. Like
no, I didn't even mean like it's not over as if like they still have smoke. I mean it's not over as like they're gonna be back in the ring, either against each other at some point again, and they're gonna bring that back up. Like you talked all that shit, you even have the guts to shake my hand or acknowledge whatever else. Like you can't be the bigger man. And then they're gonna start doing this again each other, and we're gonna be like, are they gonna fight again? We want to see them fight again. Like that's exactly like it's crazy how like CM Punk left and came back and like he's restored that same feeling from 2014 or before he retired. Like he's still that guy that can just like with a promo with whatever else get you into it. And like with Kingston's one of the best talkers in the game, and they came together and literally in 2 weeks they were able to do this. And I think the fact that it's so short makes it to where like, yeah, we want more. We only got 2 weeks of it. Like, what happens when we get, like, maybe they won't even ever do a month thing to be like, nah, we're too hot. Like, people are going to want to see it. Like, we don't want to mess it up. Like, we give you, like, 3 promos.
We give you what we give you.
And then we move on to the next one. So, yeah, like, there'll be another one in a year or 18 months or whatever else or 15 months. And we're going to want that, too.
Yeah, I like Punk's fight shorts, his debut of those.
Very nice touch.
I think that's probably that ranks above the pants for me, but I do like the short version of whatever the colors for the pants are. I thought were dope, but besides that,
it's funny because before the match, or maybe it was like as he started bleeding, I was like, so that's why he wore the white trunks. Okay, it didn't he didn't bleed that much where it got there. Like he would need I don't know what you call on the Muda scale, but let's say on the Dustin scale, he had to do like Dustin at double or nothing to get into his pants. But yeah, man, or wrestle longer. But yeah, this was his best matches being back easily. Yeah. And he's like, for a person that like looks like he doesn't have his legs underneath him at first, and you feel like he's getting incrementally better. Like for him to have like
felt like he had absolute control over
storytelling wise, and yeah, like this was basically like a safer version of his. This was like, especially given like some of the spots he's doing, where he's doing like the he off the apron to the floor, like the jump, like the leaping lariat thing or whatever else. Like that was like straight out of the Brock Lesnar thing from SummerSlam 2013, where like in that brawl too.
Feels like the game is slowing back down for CM Punk.
Physically, I think I think maybe physically, but yeah, he the mind still works and his body's not shot, so he's gonna be doing some of these. 7 years of rest. Look, 7 years of wrestling the wrestling ring. It was, how old is he now? 40 what?
He just turned 43.
Yeah, like depends how he took care of his body over these last few years.
What do you think Punk should get into next? Because I got like 2 ideas at least. Like one of them's kind of like they could do that and heat that up at any time, which is, I think, MJF is right there. But I would also like to see him and Bryan interact somehow, like whether they're teaming or something. I mean,
given how many times he was on commentary for Adam Cole's matches or whatever else, I kind of felt like he was eventually going to get to Cole eventually. And also I think Cole has said that he was an inspiration, Punk was inspiration for him. So like, yeah, I kind of want to see that definitely. So, yeah, that's one that comes to mind. As you mentioned, the MJF thing. I think that's more for like when MJF's the champion.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. Like, they'll come up with something good. I think for the most part, he'll kind of just be, kind of hanging around until it's time to get him into, some type of money, thing they can build on 2 weeks or whatever else for a Rampage. Because, he is Mr. Rampage.
So up next we had Inner Circle versus American Top Team, and I thought it was very entertaining for what it was.
Yeah.
Once again, Judo
Popcorn match.
Santos was great. Orlovsky was not that great. I thought Lambert was hilarious getting killed. Jericho was like yelling at Orlovsky because he like missed a spot to come break it up. That was pretty funny. Sammy Guevara, got on that Jeff Hardy life and decided to do the big front flip. Like the man was out there.
It was funny because like we're all watching together, and as he gets that ladder out, the first thing I'm thinking of is like, because I didn't watch this live at the time, but I went back and watched it. But that CM Punk and Jeff Hardy ladder match, TLC, whatever the hell was it, SummerSlam 2010 or 09, where like at the end, like Punk wins and Undertaker comes out, and like I remember seeing that ladder, and I remember him like I was like, Jesus Christ, that was gigantic, and he just did the flip thing, and like it looked like he broke his sternum, but like as Guevara is climbing up, like my first thought is like he's about to do that same thing, and I'm just like, you already know, like we've been talking about different Codyism, all types of isms, like just for fun, and like I never found out what this meant when the Hardys did this, but like this, I was like, yeah, ism. He's definitely about to do the hand gesture, the 2-finger guns in the air. Before he goes off, to explain what I'm doing with my hands to the podcast listeners, like he's definitely doing the Jeff Hardy. I also mentioned Jeff and Matt Hardy merch idea. Like y'all should get a picture before y'all was going to do one of them dives from like one of the TLCs or something from Impact or whatever else. So y'all, anything y'all can get your hands up, y'all doing the hand gesture in black and white while y'all on the ladder. And then like put YOLO on the shirt, like the word YOLO, like that shirt would sell. You can't tell me a Jeff Hardy yellow shirt wouldn't sell. Yeah, it would have sold. It would still sell.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I thought it was a fun brawl.
Yeah, and I'm not. Look, it's a bunch of non-wrestlers on a feud that was built around people talking a lot of shit. Like It's a popcorn match. Like it was entertaining for me. If I was giving it a star rating, I don't know.
I gave it a gentleman's 3.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it 3 stars. Like it wasn't. Yeah, like nah. But it was. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, but it's time. We have finally made it, James. After all these days, how many days, James?
800. I think it's 805.
Okay. Yeah, from the inception of the company. Hangman Page had wanted to win the AEW World Championship. Of course, he suffered the big loss against Chris Jericho, went into the stupor of drinking and self-confidence issues, got paired with Kenny Omega, had before, the official team of Kenny, he was in a feud with Pac, going back and forth with him, paired up with Kenny Omega, because we're like, I think from day one, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have broken their backs to try to create this next star for this promotion, and I think it worked. You guys know how the run went. 228 days, a lot of great tag team matches, incredible pre-match promo before this match. Sam mentioned they did the split, not necessarily like the turn that you want. Like as far as like it wasn't someone just like beating the hell out of someone, and it was like kind of more understated, which I kind of appreciated. They have the callback, of course, which the part is really getting me is like before he wrestled Jericho, and this was on BTE. It was like he asked him, the Bucks to second him like they would second Kenny, and they had a heart to tell them they weren't going to do it. They were just saying, we got our own thing that night, but it kind of later came out like it was like, yeah, we only second one wrestler in the Elite, like, and it wasn't him at the time. And from there, Kenny turns, wins the belt, Bucks win the belts. Hangman falls even further. You got to think he may have missed out on a feud with Brody Lee at that time. He starts hanging out with the Dark Order. They do the great tribute match he loses to Kenny in the finals. I forgot to mention that of Full Gear last year, and an awesome match. He comes back, does his best with Matt Hardy in the HFO. Gets in something with Team Taz in the pre-summer. Ends up with a Brian Cage match on pay-per-view. Very good match. I was there in person. Incredible reception for him. He started, heading in towards Kenny in the beginning of the summer. I thought the 5-on-5 match they had, or the whatever, I think it was 4-on-4 or something like that.
It was 5-on-5.
Okay. It was an elimination match.
It was the Elite plus Gallows and Anderson, and then it was Hangman and Silver and Reynolds, and I think it was Smash Brothers. Yeah.
As good as an elimination match as you're going to see. I thought it dumped a ton of heat and doubt on this feud, and we come to find out that Hangman had requested time off. We of course got this news later. However, I thought it was the correct decision to beat them then, and beat him then. So I didn't think the time was right for All Out personally. I had always kind of circled Full Gear. I thought the elimination match was fucking great from the whole presentation. The what makes a cowboy stuff, that did a lot for him. He comes back the next week. They whoop his ass, Horseman style, and sent him out for months and months and months. This should have been, as we told you on One Nation Radio, the flashing sign that he was coming back.
One more point to add to the Horseman beatdown he gave him the week later. The week later, the apology that he gave the Young Bucks on Friday on Rampage was the apology he was going to give them then. But Matt was too full of himself and wanted to stun on him, and then it led to fisticuffs, and then they beat him down. But, that's clearly what he was going to do. And that was the thing that was stuck on me and you as far as, why do people like this dude so much when in a relationship between them, he's acting very childish. He's acting very childish. What is the term? He feels like he's like he is in a movie and he's the main character. He's having protagonist syndrome, where it's well, why wouldn't you come out to my match? It's because you're a fucking adult. Go out there and fight. What? So for me, there are things that I don't relate to with the Hangman thing. I think that I don't find him as inspiring as everyone else does, or as a lot of people do. But that dude's been a kick-ass wrestler for a long time. And it seems like he's even getting better. And
so he wins the
matches. The matches are no problem for me. It was always just given this story, can he come out of this, or before he gets to this, can he seem like less of a dick, as a self-saboteur? And he has. And so they put a really nice bow on this. Whatever happens between Hangman and Kenny and the Young Bucks, I don't think it's over. I think obviously the chapter in this is just like Tam and Mayu, you just hope that by the end of this, they can be friends again. Given the circumstances of all the stuff that happened, because this is just this is stuff that it seems that you can reconcile. And I think
feels it's going to be a 5-year storyline.
This is a nice second, third, fourth, fifth chapter on this. This really was.
He comes back, he wins that ladder match. The crowd doesn't forget about him. There are people that are saying he needs to go to WWE. He needs to call to Triple H when Bryan and Punk and Cole.
What do you call Triple H for?
Yeah, I don't know what that would have done, especially a couple months later. So take some L's on that, y'all. And
Triple H shouldn't be answering no phone calls. I mean, he'd be concerned about his health.
Then Hangman goes through, starts cutting better promos and really getting people behind him, and he's defining what cowboy shit is and what it means to him. They make the match official. They have the great angle at the close with Callis and Kenny. the same time, Kenny has gone through, being a champion for a year, having all those belts, having all these great matches. I'm going to talk about him more in a minute, but let's get to this match. A wonderful presentation of wrestling. I always look for how champions drop belts. It's awesome. For me, it had a tiny bit of Wrestle Kingdom 13 vibes to it, knowing that something's going to happen with Kenny after this, whether it's a character change or it's like an end of an era or something. He came out and he had like the one wing thing, kind of reminded me of that. Mm-hmm. Hangman came out. They had a pre-match video where he's riding on the horse in the street. And I think these guys wrestled their asses off. They were doing head drops. They were doing a lot of reversals. They were doing all. They were doing
head drops.
Bro, they did. They were going all Japan dangerous, like all those the fucking sunset flipping power bomb that Kenny did. I came out of the fucking chair. Hangman basically cutting Kenny off when he's trying to stun on him. Just tons of great spots in this. Even the interference, I think, helped a lot just to fake people out a little bit. And then at the end, I thought it, just reflecting on it, like it makes me want to give this 5 stars so bad. Like the Matt Jackson and Hangman, because I wanted them to fucking run it. And now I never want him to fight. Like, and it's like, he looked at him with the tears in his eyes and was like, we finally came and supported you. And, when the Elite fights, I always say when the Elite fights, no one does it better. It's like, it's always like believable. It's like emotional. It's like gripping. It's, you see these guys, and if you watch, being the Elite and think about where everybody's coming from, where they're headed, like this is a really important time, because Heyman was always the young dude in the Elite. He was the prospect. He was a guy that was like, we got Heyman too, but like we know who the stars were in this situation, and they cemented this dude last night in that match. Thought it was great, and niggas can't fuck with the Elite. Like when it comes down to it, sorry. Like,
so I thought this match was so well built from minute 1 through 2 to 3 to 4, 5, 6, etc., etc. It was a match that wasn't overly violent while still having wow factors of like crazy bumps. There was no worry that someone was going to land on the top of their head. They may have landed on the back of their head on accident, but that wasn't the plan. And I thought it was a great match. I don't know. Like, okay, so I think the Bryan match, maybe just because of the I don't know, but like I think I like the Bryan match and the Phoenix match more this year from bell to bell in that with Omega, but like it's still at least a 4 3/4 star match. People give it 5. I ain't gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue. It is absolutely a match of the year contender, fringe or legitimate for people. Like it's definitely there. So, great match. And to be quite honest with you, I think there is a second and third match in them that's better than this one.
Sam says the greatest wrestling faction ever. No other faction has had more influence on the industry or created such consistently great matches and stories. I 100% agree. Like the Elite can't be fucked with. Sorry the NWO. Sorry DX. Sorry Shield. Sorry New Day. Sorry whoever you want to talk about is the Elite. And it was such a great moment because they just did the right thing. They did the thing that the most amount of fans wanted to see. They've got a 30-year-old world champion. They've got a star for however long, Hangman wants to do this at the top level. I trust that the booking is going to get them there because, like, you have Danielson fucking waiting for him. And what we said was like, yo, if you're going to get this guy off the correct way to find success as a champion, you give him Kenny Omega, you give him Bryan Danielson, and then you go from there. And it looks like that's what they're about to do. And this was I think it was it was a match that I think a lot of people had to the result. A lot of people had to delete a lot of tweets that were talking a lot of stuff, thinking Heyman they weren't gonna do it, and it just feels all Japanish, in a way. So from everything I was learning about All Japan, but I've got Kenny Omega's eulogy for his championship reign. It was something I put out on Twitter. A lot of people liked it, got a great reception for it. So, James, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read this off. If you want to jump in anywhere, feel free.
Nah, go ahead.
So, here it is. Kenny Omega's championship eulogy. Kenny Omega was the third AEW World Heavyweight Champion. After 346 days, he dropped the title clean to Hangman Adam Page in an incredible match, which was the culmination of a story that dates back to the inception of the company. We'll get back to this in a second. Partnering with Don Callis as his manager, he won the AEW Championship from Jon Moxley at Winter is Coming 2020 and promptly unleashed a new partnership with Impact Wrestling that would lead to him becoming the belt collector, which saw him carrying 4 championship belts that represented 3 organizations at its highest point. Omega's title reign spanned from the limited fan era until fans were back in the arenas. AEW saw business rise on both television and pay-per-view throughout his reign as he faced a myriad of opponents, telling stories tailored to each of them, while remaining the leading contender for various Wrestler of the Year awards across several publications. Aside from the AEW Championship, he engaged in many other matches outside of the reign, which added to his aura, such as his classic 30-minute draw against Bryan Danielson, his entire Impact reign, and several high-profile tag and trios matches that did well from a critical and business standpoint. He remained the lightning rod he has always been, while having the best matches ever contested for the AEW Championship. There was a down point of his reign. It would be that the end point of his reign was in flashing lights almost from the moment that he got the title, leading to there's no way in hell this belt is changing feeling through many of his defenses. That may be a function of the early history of the championship, and that's something Britt Baker is dealing with right now. At that point, we were left to evaluate the match quality we got, which was generally very high. Omega built the main event championship scene in AEW, doing clean jobs to Jericho and Moxley out the gate to set them up for runs, before taking Hangman Page under his wing to begin the process of turning him into a top star. That story finished at full gear as Omega handed over the physical championship to Page while remaining perhaps a level above the title at this point, able to step in as a babyface in the future. Though he might not immediately get the credit due to being who he is, in time, his work from 2019 to the end of 2021 will be looked at as incredibly giving and equally spectacular, as he was doing all this while making the transition to being a national weekly television wrestler for the first time. Many people think he's headed for a rest of some sort, but the best bout machine never sleeps. As of this writing, his next major match is in less than a month against El Hijo del Vikingo in AAA, which gives him another shot at adding to his great match resume in 2021. There was the option to pursue what would have been box office shattering title matches against CM Punk or Bryan Danielson, but that wasn't how things played out. I feel comfortable in saying he was the best AEW champion so far. And while I don't know if he'll win it again at some point, he really doesn't have to either, as many exciting opponents and stories are waiting for him that could fill the next few years. And today I learned truly how much pain Kenny was in throughout all this, watching this like 50-minute video, like where he was getting this adjustment. Turns out he's had vertigo since 2018. So like Ric Flair had vertigo at a certain point. Just super impressive. I didn't want people to forget, like caught up in the Hangman hysteria, I'll say. Like this was like an all-time make another star type performance for Kenny, which ironically kind of feels like Tanahashi making Okada. So this is great.
Yeah, so I guess you had asked me the day thing about like when I hit Caleb with the 805-day title chase survivor. Yeah, like back during the summer when people were hyperventilating about how he didn't win that Survivor Series match, more or less. When he lost 3-1 against like all the men's champions in AEW. Like I was just like reminded, like between Bailey, between Johnny Gargano, between Tam Nakano, I was just like, that was the point. Like the point is, like this person's going to fail, and you already believe in him, and he's already showing you that like he just all he needs this much. All he just needs is that little push over the top, and
they had you.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying back then. Like they got y'all, and when y'all win, you'll be so happy. And I'm glad people are happy, and I'm glad he's
I'm glad we're right,
and I'm glad he's in a place now to where, because I mean, from the time Omega won the belt, we were circling like, is it gonna be Full Gear? And obviously we had no idea about CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, but it turned out to be for the best. Like if he had won the title at Full or All Out, it would have been like, oh, that's cool. The best wrestler, like maybe the best wrestler in the world, just showed up. You know what I'm saying? Like just showed up to the company, and like one of the biggest needle movers in pro wrestling of the last decade just showed up as well off a 7-year retirement. So it's like now like, and Adam Cole's also there. So it's like now that like they're all settled into the universe, if you will, or into the federation, there are more parts for at disposal to help facilitate and keep Hangman at a level higher than like he was before 2 days ago. So like this is a better environment for him. Like so it all turned out for the best for this dude. And a lot of my reasons why like I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out for him in this way once they give him the belt. Like, but we'll see. Like I think this is a much better like situation for him with all these people, with MJF, with Darby, to go against in the future, with Moxley eventually, if he turns heel or whatever else, or not, because he definitely wants the belt either way. He wants his belt back either way. So yeah, like that's the point of the chase. That makes it so awesome. Like you see something, and they got you, and you're gonna be frustrated at times. There's gonna be motherfuckers.
Tell me how happy y'all are.
There's gonna be motherfuckers wildly coyoteing off the stage to a man that's handcuffed. And then when it's time for him to get his belt, the person has a trick neck and he has to get the fuck, and they have to call an audible, and then they still have to come up with a match that's better probably than you even would have imagined. There's all types of stuff. There's gonna be. Your
favorite wrestler might go an hour with the champion and not win, like, and go to a draw.
Yeah. Like there's gonna be that. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be like it's going to be stuff like you're ready. You've demonstrated yourself to be ready, and then like somebody else that's old money comes back, and then like, and they're not as over as you, but it's time, but you got to put them over in their first defense. And then when it's time for you to, you shoot this angle with this person and win tag league, and then you're supposed to win the belt for them in this whole huge thing. And then unfortunately they have injuries and you got to call an audible. It ended up working out for the best. Like that Tamarissa thing, that would have been awesome if it happened. It would have been awesome if it happened. But Tam Nakano and Budokan Hall in like one of the best under 20-minute matches I've ever seen in my life. That was better than whatever Arisa and Tam were gonna come up with. So yeah, like sometimes this stuff works out. Like don't get me wrong, there've been plenty of chase that have been fucked up. Looking at WCW 1997, but when it works out, it just feels so good, and I'm just happy that everyone that was ever invested in the story, was ever invested in these guys, was ever invested in this company, like for since 2019, for like this to come through in that way, like it was great. It was great.
It is one great. that cannot be taken away at this point. Like it's a home run. It's like, imagine, like, a lot of people were saying this was Starrcade 97 for AEW, and it was like, I think that was a pejorative thing, hoping that they would fuck up, personally. And like, you think about, remember Brock Lesnar having the belt for that long, and the trash that they did to switch the title to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2018, just completely unsatisfying. What they did to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34, I'm thinking of more recent history type things, and it's just like, we're not talking about the other world championship here. We're talking about the championship now in wrestling, the AEW championship, and it's like, you got that shit, like you're gonna be Teflon for a while. So, very proud of both of these guys for authoring this story. And, I don't think that, I look forward to see whatever these next stories are that are going to play out, because all these people are now different. I think that chapter of the company is like the first chapter of All Elite Wrestling has been written here. Those first 4 champions, and now it's like almost anybody can like, not anybody, but like, there's a new, like, people. There are new people that you can introduce. There are old people that you can introduce back to it, but we're going somewhere else now, and they've done great so far. So
yeah, they've more or less, like, I'm not saying it's any profound thing or whatever, it's obvious, but like, he's the first AEW World Champion that wasn't a former WWE champion or IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So,
right,
like, that's a big deal. Like, you look around at what AEW is, and at its top, it is veterans that have applied their crafts and made big names for themselves and have history, stories, and careers and all that kind of stuff elsewhere. And this is no knock against what he did in Ring of Honor and what he did when he was in New Japan from time to time. But like, this is uncharted territory now for AEW. They're not relying on somebody that was already a Hall of Famer multiple times over, multiple like, has wrestled themselves to wealth already. Like, this is something new.
Yeah. Sam says, no rushing off the air with Hangman. Yeah, they did not go off the air within 90 seconds of him winning the world title. So, I think that's a great place to leave it. It was an awesome show, awesome matches, and bring on, like, very happy. I want to see what Hangman does with it. I want to see, like, his impact on business, and like, what big matches they got ready for him. Like, very interested. So they've got a pure white meat babyface as the world champion. Mox was not a pure white meat babyface. He was a little rough around the edges. They've had 2 heel champions, and Hangman's kind of, as James said, uncharted territory. So, man, that was AEW Full Gear.
Kent State really does care about its students, and I think that if a student wants to feel supported throughout their time here and feel like they have someone to go to for help or for advice or just to talk, Kent State is the place for that.
What goes into making celebrations with your family great? Kohl's has the answer. Discover super comfy bedding from the Big One for your guest room, Keurig coffee brewers for mornings spent together, and Bissell floor care for cleaning up after the fun is over. Oh, and really great gifts your family will love. Order online at Kohls.com and choose fast and free store pickup, or head to your nearest Kohl's store today.
Besides that, I guess it's time to hit the music.
Okay, so I looked up and said to myself, wow, the final for Stardom's Tag League was yesterday, or is today, Sunday, or happened while I was asleep. And like, we hadn't really covered anything from Stardom since the pay-per-view on the 3rd. So I said to myself, you know what? I have the time, and maybe I should do something unwise, like watch 5 wrestling shows back to back to back to back to back.
A wild decision.
To watch the Tag League final, because I had looked and I glanced and I saw a number of matches up really fast. So I thought to myself, by the time I'm done, I'll be able to watch the second half of the show. The second half of the show will be up. Wrong. So I watched 5 Tag League matches, or 5 Tag League shows in their entirety. And I pretty much did it the way that I did the G1 last year, where I just did bell rings, fast forward bell rings, fast forward bell rings.
A sicko. And, this is a sicko. This is the K-hole, ladies and gentlemen.
And I got to tell you, like, it's one thing to do
fentanyl.
I got to tell you, it's one thing to do when it's the G1 and it's still like the best wrestling tournament, even if it's not like as great as it was in 2019 or 18 or 17. It was still great. But what I will say is this: you notice that like I did binge watch that G1 last year, and I did not watch a single G1 show like this year. So I watched this. And I think the reason why I ended up getting myself in this situation, this predicament, was because the first night of Tag League was uninspiring. And like, I don't know what happens, but like when Stardom has a bad show, I kind of go to them over like, are they going to give me another? Are they going to give me another fucking bad show back to back? They've never done that. That's never happened. But
Jen be like, we sick. I mean, boss, we sick.
I'm just kind of like, hey man, because you know how shows will stack on me. Like, I won't watch Dynamite for like 3 weeks. I won't watch NXT for 3 weeks. Well, I don't watch NXT anymore. But at the time, it was like I'll just like.
I was gonna say none of us watch NXT.
One bad show made me be like, man, there's some other shit. I waste too much time watching this fake fighting. I do not want to be led down the road of this shit going off the cliff. Like, that's why I never watched 2.0. I stopped well before then. Once they cut Mercedes Martinez and Bobby Fish and Braun Strowman, I was like, I already know where this head off the cliff. I'm getting off now. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say this: like, when AEW has a bad episode, it feels like the sky is falling. Like,
well, that's because like you go online and people will tell you that the sky is indeed falling.
Yeah.
There's also that part. Like me, like in my own little universe of like a few people that I even follow or don't have blocked, so I don't see any Stardom spoilers online. Like I don't have to really deal with that. Where I see a bad show, but I'll just be like, man, because like it's such a promotion of high effort. Like I feel like no other promotion has that high percentage of their wrestlers try that hard on a consistent basis. Like there might be like maybe 3 or 4 times in a year where like I just see a show and I'm just like, oh, I think they kind of, you know, they didn't go as hard as they possibly could, and that's because like I'll look at the schedule and be like, oh, like this is their 3rd like show in like 4 days. like it's always stuff like that where it's like it's basically like a schedule loss in basketball. Like okay, like it's second out of back to back. It's 3 and 4 or it's 4 and 5. I see why you took it easy here. So but anyway, I said all that to say that like as I was watching this, I was pleasantly surprised. Like it's almost like I forgot that like. It's almost like I forgot what like Shuri and Micah do. It's almost like I forgot what like Momo and Azumi do. It's almost like I forgot what like Mayu Iwatani with a new tag team partner will do, or what Hazuki will do now that she's back. And like, yeah, there were a lot of good matches. So I'm just gonna give you guys a quick rundown of matches to check out. If you guys have Stardom or not, but just like matches that were very, very good that I say like 3.5 or over. So most of these matches, all these matches are like somewhere between 3.5 and 4.25. Pull it up real quick. So okay, here we go. So Hazuki and Kaguma versus Momo and Saya Kamatani. That was the first night of... Was it the first night of... I think it's the first night of Tag League. And then you also have... I'm scrolling through trying to go over AEW matches. All right, here we go. Mayu Iwatani and Ren Kadokura versus Shuri and Micah. The Halloween show, it was on Halloween. It was a Halloween theme. The closest thing to a Halloween theme was like Starlight Kid's mask. It had like spooky stuff on it, but that was it. Tam Nakano and... It was a 4-way match. Tam and Mayu and Starlight Kid and Lady C in a 4-way match where basically what all they did was... It was basically like, imagine if the Young Bucks, Matt, Nick, and Kenny Omega were the Elite, and then like in the last year they all broke up. They all went their separate ways. They're all in separate factions. For whatever reason. And then they're in a 4-way match with a youngin. And they said, hey, all we're going to do is tease and do our old tag and faction spots together on this poor rookie. And then we will start beating each other up. And then we will decide to do our own individual tag moves on the third member of our old faction. And you watch it and you get nostalgic and you feel bad and you're like, I just don't understand why they can't be friends no more. I just want them all to be friends again. But yeah, this was great. And Lady C, who, if we were to do, we need to talk to you probably off air about this, but just float it out there. The idea of two added awards, in much of the NFL and NBA fashion, a most improved player and a comeback player of the year. Most improved player, I think that we would have to talk about like from year to year growth. Also throwing like, you know, how we talk about people getting more reps or in better situations. They got better, like who we talked about last year, like John Moxley would have won most improved player. And in fact, I think in Observer, I think in the most improved wrestler, I think he actually won it or he was close.
That's funny.
Because I remember I called, I was like, watch, it's going to be because he's in a better situation. It's not because he's necessarily a better wrestler, just he's done doing that. He's on his own thing. And sure enough, he's going to be in the G1. Of course, it's just basically like the second year player that all of a sudden gets a huge boost in minutes. That was like that was a lottery pick. Like it's kind of cheating. But yeah, like she's in the category of someone that was rotten as a wrestler. And then over the summer, they see enough in her to put her out there on a dark match for one of those dome shows, one of those Grand Slam shows, and she has a 3.25 star match with obviously ringers, but still she's keeping up. And like you can see her like in these undercards having like good matches with some of the vets, and you see like her instincts improving in the ring and stuff. And it's like, this is her first year. Maybe in a year from now, she might actually be like legitimately good. How good? I'm not going to say she's going to be Mayu Watani, but like she could be like Saida. And we love Giant Saya over here. So it's just something to bring up. But yeah, that match was really fun though. So I think the main event was Shuri and Maika versus Momo and Azumi. This was like right before the I think this was a go home show for the Azumi and Shuri SWA match. So like no wonder it was great. I ended up giving that 4 stars. Hazuki and Kaguma are like a great tag team. Who knew? Like in Hazuki, like she's not all the way back, but like she's like 95% back, and you just watch her and they put her with Utami throughout this whole thing. Like they had her in the same block. They had her in a match that had Azumi in it. Just to do on undercard, just to have a good match, and she did it, and she's almost 100% back. Like it's almost like watching like Randy Moss on the Patriots. It's like he's 31, he's not as athletic peak, but he's still like, I'm not saying he's dominating because she's not necessarily dominating, but like great while not like being 100% yourself yet, or can't be yourself again. Like it's awesome. So then other matches of the tag tournament. I'm just going to speed round through this. Tam and Mina versus Momo and Azumi, of course, from the 4th of the day after the pay-per-view. So keep that in mind. Hazuki, like I mentioned, Hazuki and Kaguma versus Utami and Saya Kamatani. Like I think that's Saya and Utami's best tag match I've ever seen in a regular setting. 2 versus 2. Hazuki and Kaguma versus Utami and Azumi from the 6th. Tam and Mina versus Rin and Mayu, also on that card. After the match, obviously, you know, Tam and Mayu beat the shit out of each other, of course. It was great. After the match, they're all in the ring, all 4 of them. And Rin's on her back, and she's not out, but like she's exhausted. Mm-hmm. Mayu goes over to Rin and hugs her, and then looks at Tam and smiles like, I got another you. Look at me give someone else affection. All you wanted for years was for me to like, just to like, you want to be my right hand man so badly. Why? And you left because you wanted the white belt? All right. And then like, that's the thought that went through my head, right? Once she looked at her and smiled, Tam got up and kicked Rin right in the fucking face while she was still downed. Like, that's illegal in UFC. Like, you can't kick her down in the face. Tam kicked her in the face. They broke it up. They had to pull apart. It was like, wow. Like, so that's not over. Obviously, that's not over. And then just to give the last special shout out to the penultimate show before the final. Utami wasn't a tag league match, but it was a trios match. It was Utami, Azumi, and Kamatani versus Shuri, Natsupoi, and Himeka. The match was great. So that gives you up to speed of all the matches worth checking out. But so I'm gonna give y'all, because I actually watched the first half of Tag League, I'm just gonna give you guys the rundown of what the scenarios are. So if you guys want to check it out, because I don't know why, but like they didn't put up the list so you can see like points or whatever else. So like if you go to check it out, I'll give you the rundown for the final night. Final night going into it. In the red block, the leader is Natsupoi and Himeka, 6 points, and they have to face. They had to face Utami and Kamatani, who are second place with 5 points. They're 1 point behind. And then in third place, the only other team alive is Hazuki and Kaguma. So obviously Himapoi Himeka and Natsupoi, they control their own destiny. For Utami and Kamitani to make it, they have to win. They have to beat, obviously, Natsupoi and Himeka. And then for Hazuki and Kaguma to make it, they have to hope that Kamitani and Utami get the W. And that will force a playoff. Because they would both be on 7. Oh, and they also have to win their match, obviously. They have to win their match. So then that will force a playoff. And then in the blue block, you have Mayu and Rin at 7 points. You have Shuri and Maika at 6 points. And then you have Momo and Azumi at 5 points. Now, Momo and Azumi in the final night face Mayu and Rin. And they're down 2 points, so obviously if they win, they would get the tiebreaker and get in. But if in order for them to win, they have to win that match, and they have to hope that Shuri and Maika lose to Starlight Kid and Roaka. And then for Shuri and Maika to win, they have to get the W. You have to get the W because they end up actually losing to Rin and Mayu. So they have to get the W. They're down 1 point, and they don't have the tiebreaker. So like that's the scenario. So if y'all tune in and check it out, we'll keep you. That'll be the scenario once they upload all this thing. We'll talk about the finals next week.
Yeah, man. I forgot to mention in AEW Full Gear there was a new signing. Jay Lethal signs with AEW. I audibly groaned when he walked out, and that was before I considered the allegations and all that. It was like I saw Jay. I was like, I don't think he's in his prime anymore. He's maybe not what he used to be. Whatever. And then I was like, holy shit, he was caught up in that speaking out before. So there's something with Taylor Hendricks. I don't have all the details on it, but I am not thrilled about this.
I'm not exactly thrilled at the prospect that there were potentially people like Bandito and John Gresham in Ryu Lee on the board, and then they bring in also Brody King, and
maybe he's just the first one, but
yeah, maybe, yeah. But the first person they bring in would be Lethal, because you bring in Jay Lethal, and obviously he's going to have that match with Sammy Guevara on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But before they announced that, I was kind of like, where does he go?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think at this point in the game, I don't know if he's
not a top star.
I don't think he'd be a take for me.
Yeah, same.
There's no knock against him. He's been a very good wrestler for a long time. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I know what to do with Gresham here. You go have him face Lee Moriarty. You have him go face Dante Martin. You have him go face Matt Sydal. You have him go face Adam Cole. You go have him face Bryanson. You go have him face Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara. I already know what you do with that. With Lethal, I mean, like 2 years isn't necessarily that long ago, but like the last time he was out having great matches, to my knowledge, was 2 years ago. Doesn't mean he still can't do it, but it just feels like a thing where it's like you're hiring one of your boys, and like that's AEW does that. They hire their boys, they hire their family. It happens. We'll see what he does. Like, I'm not ready to write him off rip. I don't think I've ever. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've done that with a few people, but they're low stakes type people in the company. So we'll see where he is, in the coming weeks. Like I don't see any reason why he can't have a really good match with Sammy.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't thrill me.
I'm with you. Like, I mean, I'm just talking about. Well, let me phrase all this from the lens of, I'm talking from the perspective of before we get into him being a potential sex pest, right? Like, I just meant like just in a vacuum. But once we start talking about that, then it's like, yeah, I don't know why you even risk bringing him in, other than, like you mentioned, the cronyism in AEW. Yeah. So, I wouldn't have signed him, but
yeah. Shouts out to Frankie Leone showing up to Full Gear with the One Nation Radio sign, and also Rampage. Saw that. I woke up in the morning and saw that. I marked out when I saw it. So shout out to my man Frank. Gonna send you something dope. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say. If you guys like parts of the show, especially if you're on the Twitch, stick around for the post show. We'll probably hang out for a few minutes, of course, as I check the Twitter timeline after the show, which is always interesting to see. And besides that, I'll clip this joint up however you guys do. But yeah, that should be all.
Yeah, that's in the show. Thanks for listening, y'all. Like Rich mentioned, we have the Twitch. It is twitch.tv/Rich Latta?
That is it.
Yeah. Go to the Red Circle, drop us off with a donation. Check out ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Network merchandise. And listen to other shows on the network. You have this show.
Before you do that, donations.
Oh, God. Do it again. I don't think it picked up well enough.
Yep. So they heard it on the Twitch stream. So
well,
you guys want to hear the
podcast, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, listen to other shows on the network besides One Nation Radio, Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Gorman Wash's shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, and AEW Match Guide. Yes, and donations.
Donation.
Yes.
Gifts.
Yes.
Gifts. Gifts. More gifts.
This over signing off. Later, y'all.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Shop on eBay this holiday season to get more for your dough on stand mixers, or get more for your buck on this season's hottest tech and gaming gear. And on eBay, you can even get more bling for less cha-ching on jewelry. You can get more because you save more on premium brands with eBay's exclusive deals. Get more when you get it on eBay.
Annie had an earache on a Saturday of all days. So her mom brought her to Minute Clinic at CVS, where you can see a provider, fill a prescription, and grab essentials like pain relief products, all in one visit. Even on evenings and weekends. You can even see us online with telehealth options. For quality, affordable care on your schedule, visit Minute Clinic at CVS. That's healthier made easier. Services vary by location. See MinuteClinic.com for details.